me see if I can set up the camera. I don't think anybody's in here yet anyway. So let's see what we can do. People have been requesting a live, so I'm going to see if we can answer some people's questions that people have been having. And we'll just kind of quote unquote go from there. I don't think it's going to be, well, who knows? Let's see what it's going. I'm actually setting up the camera right now. Like I said, it started live a little early. Let's see what happens. Give me 1 second here. All right. Hey, Domenico. I'm trying to set up the camera right now. Give me 1 second. Apologize for this little inconvenience here. Oh, no. It won't. Really? Oh, my gosh. Well, let's see if we can figure this out. There's, for some reason, there we go. So yeah, this is all about people who have questions. This was actually requested. People wanted a live video where I can answer some questions. I think the camera's gonna be a little crooked. But if you guys have any questions now about either water, hydrogen, water filtration, whatever you guys need, you can let me know, quote unquote, a hangout session. But I've been actually learning a lot about, yes, I already know a lot about hydrogen production. If anything, I'm actually a hydrogen production specialist. I know a lot about water filtration, but I've also been learning a lot about how to test for hydrogen because there's so much terrible information. I've literally had to go as far as contacting the top laboratories in the world, actually, to try to learn about hydrogen testing because it's almost like testing horsepower on cars. I don't know if you guys have ever seen where a car that's got 1,000 horsepower and a car that's got 500, like half the horsepower, and the 500 horsepower car will outperform it. So it's tricky to understand, it's difficult to understand, but when it comes to hydrogen water, there's so much bad information. Thanks for the thumbs up, by the way, everybody's giving. But this is really more for you guys. That's why I'm doing this. I don't know how long I'm gonna be available right now, but this is a time, if anybody has any questions, whether it's about hydrogen water, water filtration, hydrogen gas, maybe even some protocols, all sorts of different stuff that is that we can do. So GL Beans 8147 says, I'm here for any information that will broaden my knowledge, and thanks for this. Yeah, so again, it's really a lot better or easier if you guys ask questions right now. So if you have a specific question, this is literally the time, because I get so many emails, so many comments, and things that people don't understand. And a lot of times when I provide the information, I really wish that other people were listening, so that way I can say it once and they can benefit a lot of people. So if you have a specific question, GL Beans, this would be really good, because the subject is so broad. I really don't want to just talk about some random stuff. I can say that in my personal opinion, the world of hydrogen in America and literally throughout the world is, the information's really bad. That's my honest opinion. If it was good, I would tell you. In fact, I think this is important to say. I do everything I can to get the best information possible and provide that for you guys, where I have learned that there's a lot of people and companies and different things that they don't actually care about giving you the right information or even getting the right information. Everything is about just trying to manipulate you with bad data. And that to me is extremely sad, because I want to get you guys the best information. And so the better the questions, the better answers, in my opinion, that I can provide for you guys. So again, this is your time, guys. You have me live, you have me here right now. And this is really big because it's hard for me to find the time to do this, but somebody literally asked me if I would do this today. So that's why I'm here. So there's 10 of you guys in here. If anybody has questions, I do appreciate the thumbs up. That's all good. But I'll just chat a little bit since nobody's asking any questions. I'll chat with you. Carol says, hi, Greg. Hey, Carol. So if anybody has any questions, this is a good time. One thing that I want to share with you guys. Before I begin, you guys know I don't give any medical advice. I don't make any medical claims, and I don't make any claims for or against any product or products. Let's first talk about water filtration. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about water filtration. In my personal opinion, I think that there's a lot of shenanigans in regards to water filtration. I'll explain that. Because what's happening is, let's say you see a lab report on water filtration. So lab reports are going to be different for many different things depending on what subject we're talking about. So when it comes to water filtration, you may think that your water filter is great. You really might want to think again, because what's happening is this. They'll show you a lab report. And the lab report, when they're using a porous filter, they put a brand new filter and then they do a lab report, okay? And so what ends up happening, and before I begin, somebody, GL Bean says, please provide the name or the link for the trace minerals you use. Oh, okay, so the trace minerals I use, you can go to literally, you can type in, on YouTube, you can go to a video, you just type in how to mineralize distilled water or how to remineralize distilled water. And I have a link in the comment section, but this is what I use, which is the concentrates minerals. Now, is this the only company in the world that makes good minerals? In my opinion, no. But this is the one that I like to use because I like the way they do it. They actually take them from the ocean, they do a purification process, and then they also remove almost all the salt. A lot of people think that salt is good for you. They're so wrong, in my opinion, okay? Because there is clear evidence, and I've seen the data. In fact, some of the best data actually came out from Japan because the Japanese, as you guys know, have the longest life expectancy of any industrialized nation in the world. But the Japanese consume a lot of salt, like soy sauce is full of salt. They do a lot of fermented foods which have a lot of salt. And they have clearly shown that salt increases, like the hardening of arteries, strokes, heart attacks, a lot of different issues. And if they minimize salt, the data clearly shows that you will be less likely to have those issues, but it's the minerals that you want within the salt. And that's why I like stuff that eliminates the majority of it. And on my protocols, utilizing them with hydrogen in specific ways, and also with my smoothies, which ultimately is fiber, there's really good data in regards to that. So I don't know if that helps. I can't provide the link right now because I'm here live with you guys. Domenico says, big difference when you filter water first, then distill it. Okay, so to touch on that, you're making obviously a very good point, which is when you distill water with a machine, and I could show you my machine right now if you really want. When you distill water in a machine versus the way that nature does it, it's similar, but it's actually a little different. Okay, I kind of hope you quote unquote understand this because, and I'll explain why. A machine, well, let's go with nature first. When nature distills water, which is when the sun hits the ocean and it gets hot and the water literally begins to go upward, it ascends. That is a process of distillation. The only difference is that that particular water or steam can rise really high, like thousands of feet up into the sky. In a machine, it can't do that. It can't rise thousands of feet into the sky. So it gets routed. And this is why I like the machine that I personally use, because they've done a lot of lab testing about it. I have it, but I don't have it with me right this second. That's why there's certain gases that will rise only so high, and that's why you have the carbon later. So it's a combination of carbon distillation. But if you filter your water first, which is what I do, I like to run it through a reverse osmosis system, and then I take that water and put it in the distiller. Then I don't need the carbon anymore. And then the water comes out extremely clean, and the distiller stays clean literally to the point where I haven't cleaned my distiller for years, which is highly unusual, guys. You're gonna need to clean it depending on how dirty the water is, but mine stays extremely clean. I could show you right now too, but I won't do that right this second unless you guys really, really want to see it, and I guess I could grab it. So that is, in my opinion, the best process. And let me tell you, a lot of people might complain, but clean water and clean air are foundational to my protocols to achieve really good health, okay? And then Domenico says, Greg recommends mini classic CT countertop distiller made in the USA. And that's true. It's from a website called mypurewater.com. And if you want a coupon code, the coupon code is uprising144K. Oh, thanks for all the thumbs up, by the way, everybody. Any distiller, though, from that website will work. So it doesn't have to just be the mini classic CT. Any of them make the same quality of water. So that's easy. And they just have different options. So that's pretty much it on that. And what I personally like to do is I'll get a relatively inexpensive reverse osmosis system and just take that water and put it in my distiller. And then I just save the carbon cartridges. If you're going straight tap water, then you want those carbon cartridges that My Pure Water company provides. So that's how you make clean water. And the reason clean water is so important, especially with hydrogen, is because you're going to use water as a carrier for the hydrogen. So that's why it's so important. Again, thanks for all the thumbs up and everything else. So again, any questions you guys have, this is your time. This is the time to ask it. I have so many testimonials too, both good and bad actually. Bad in the sense, which is really sad for me, people who are using the wrong type of hydrogen. It's crazy how bad some of the testimonials are. And then for the people who are doing it right, unbelievable. And that's the best that people, so hopefully people can understand. It's kind of like people who want to eat, let's say they want to eat vegetables and fruits or meat, like beef. The way that you produce it, right? The way that you're feeding the cows, and even the stress that the cows can go under and how it affects them, or food, whether you're spraying herbicides, pesticides. So how you produce matters. And that's why how we produce water, not just produce water, but ultimately filter it, and how we produce hydrogen really matters. It literally, I've seen it be the difference between good and bad results. So Carol Orton says, if you're not using the carbon filter on the distiller, do you need to have the tray in there that holds the carbon filter? I also use reverse osmosis before I run it through my mini classic. So if you're using the reverse osmosis before you run it through your mini classic distiller, you do not need the tray or the carbon filter. You just don't need it. So that's your simple answer. You don't need it. If you're using straight tap water, because tap water has certain gases in it, like chlorine. That's why when you leave out a glass of water from the tap, the chlorine will literally dissipate because it's a type of gas. So ultimately, I hope that answers your question, Carol. If it doesn't, ask again and I'll try to touch on it. So that's where we're at right now. Any other questions? This is your time, guys, to ask any question you want. People have been requesting this live, and I know I just did it off, just did it all of a sudden here. Chunky says, hello. Again, this is your time to ask questions, guys. Thanks for all the thumbs up, all that good stuff. But this is a time where people have me for free, have me live. I'll answer any question you guys want right now. Domenico says, the carbon filter makes the water softer. Basically so the distiller will eliminate over 90% of contaminants, and then the carbon filter will pretty much finish the rest. And if you guys really, really, really want to see lab tests, I have them downstairs. I could go grab them right now, but I just didn't. I've shown them so many times, I didn't think you guys wanted to see them again. But I could, and if you guys really want to, you'd have to wait about 20 seconds for me to go get it. Carol says, yes, answered. Perfect. And I hate that I hate to tell you guys, because I don't schedule these things because I'm so busy and so many things going on in the day, and it's hard to find the time sometimes, and something always comes up. So I know I did this just randomly, but let's see. Carol says, do you have a good source for a red light therapy device? I do, actually. There's a really wonderful clinic that is using. It was interesting because they use red light therapy, they use hydrogen, they use clean water, and they use, I think, ozone and an oxygen chamber. And they did a lot of research. Now, the interesting thing about some of their results, this is actually really interesting because they contacted me because they were using hydrogen, but they weren't using the right one. And they were actually using one of these devices. It's the Axiom device, if you guys have ever heard of it. And they just weren't getting the results they wanted. And they were like, why isn't this working? It's supposed to be so amazing. And people always, there's, again, a lot of bad info. And so then that particular clinic contacted me and said, hey, we're not really seeing a lot of results from the hydrogen. And of course, I always ask, well, what kind of equipment and what kind of protocol? Because that's what matters. And they told me, and I'm like, well, you're not using the equipment that I would use. And even their water filtration too. And so we ended up working on protocols. And after they got the hydro fix, he was even doing random with different patients, like randomly as far as what hydrogen they're using without telling them. And he said every single one of them, not just one person or two people, he said every single one of them was liking the hydro fix and they didn't know why, and they could just feel the difference. And the results that they're getting are crazy. I've been posting some of their testimonials. It's been really, really crazy. All right, so let's see here. Sam Hasselback says, what might you suggest for migraines? I'll get into that in 1 second also. And then Chunky says, I'm sorry if this comment is too personal or off topic, but I'm curious about your thoughts on LSD or psilocybin. For me, it was a profound experience to help me overcome PTSD. Okay, and then Domenico says, is Purazyme blend good for detoxifying the body? All right, all right. So we'll start with Sam as far as migraines. One of the things that I highly recommend for migraines is you always want, again, no medical advice, but you always want super clean water. You don't realize the things that are in our water that affect our brain. That would be the first thing. Also, just free radicals in general and anti-inflammatory aspects of hydrogen. And I don't know, Sam, maybe you should tell me, are you using the cleanest water and the best hydrogen right now? Comment what kind of hydrogen, what kind of water you're using, and then we'll get into that. Chunky asking about LSD, my thoughts on LSD and psilocybin. My thoughts. Personally, here's a funny thing about these things. In my opinion, obviously remember how you make it's going to matter, mostly for the LSD because psilocybin should come naturally from a mushroom from nature. I'm not personally against those type of things, but I also think that there are people who can't handle it. Why? Because I would say because they can't handle the truth. The truth can hurt a lot of people and not everybody can handle it. But for those who can handle it, like the PTSD can be very traumatic. I definitely have my own form of PTSD. And I think that those things can be profoundly helpful for certain people. And I think it can give us great insight. So the simple fact is, I'm for it, but just remember my personality. I am a guy who will take big risks or try crazy things in order to try to achieve whether it's better health, both physically and mentally and spiritually. But that's me. Doesn't mean that everybody can do that because I've seen people do it and have bad experiences because they're the kind of people, I don't want to say that they're running from the truth, but sometimes people can only handle so much. And I don't judge those people for that either. Certain people can just handle so much. And so it depends on a person. I don't know if that answered your question, Chunky. If it didn't, you can re-ask it in a different way. Domenico's saying, is Purazyme blend good for detoxifying the body? In my personal opinion, absolutely. So Purazyme is a very powerful enzyme, like medical grade, that they're actually getting the main stuff from Japan. Japan makes the best enzymes in the world, guys. A lot for those people who haven't researched enzymes. And it can go into the body and start literally digesting what's called undigested proteins. So when people eat certain things, I'm not going to get into that because everybody argues about diet, but certain things can build up in your body and it can start eating them away. Kind of like, think about it. Try to think of a really unique way of explaining this. Well, everybody knows that we get buildup. Like certain people get buildup around like the arteries or like people who have certain blockages in their heart. Those things can be eaten away and broken down by enzymes and by certain diets. And by the way, there's literally data that proves it. I've literally seen scans. And just so you know, high enzyme and high fiber diet will literally break down these blockages. I've seen it. It's unbelievable. And of course, hydrogen, I highly recommend it with a large amount of water that is clean. Can't emphasize the cleanliness part enough. Okay, Sam says, I'm doing the Distiller you recommended and the Hydrofix from Holy Hydro, drinking the water most of the day and inhaling about 30 minutes a day. Should I be breathing in more? I've been doing the hydrogen and pure water for about 4 months. I just had a conversation with a woman who's been doing exactly what you're doing for a year and a half, and her results were minimal. But when we went over it, so we talked about it in a more detailed manner, and she basically learned that she wasn't doing it the best way possible. In fact, far from it. And I've seen that so much, especially with people who aren't getting the proper results. The way that they're drinking the water, the amount of water that they're drinking it, the order in which they're drinking it. She literally would like to eat and do all these things and then have a little bit of water. It would take her an hour to finish a glass. That's not the way you want to drink hydrogen water because the hydrogen dissipates so quickly. I've gone over this so much in detail in video 337. What I would recommend for you, Sam, is watching video 337, 388, and especially 426. If you have questions after that, you're welcome to email me and I'll do my best to help you. Domenico says, when is the best time to take it? And I'm assuming the best time to take the enzymes, definitely empty stomach. That's your big one. And you can do them at nighttime. You can do them early in the morning, as long as on an empty stomach and you're giving it hours time. And if you're using it with hydrogen, even better, because the way, I won't explain why, but it's so much better. So if you have a more detailed question, that'd be good. GL Beans says, just ordered the mini home distiller and have been using the Hydrofix for 1 month now. I occasionally have vertigo and hoping the inhalation will help. You know what? That's an interesting thing too, because I have actually known people, this was shocking, people with vertigo, which actually my mother used to get. That was another one. Hydrogen has changed my mother's life so much. It's actually laughable. The reason I laugh about it is because she didn't believe in the hydrogen. And now she not only believes in it, she loves her hydrogen, so she can never go without it. But okay, it says just ordered the, so you've been doing it for about a month. I would also recommend for you, GL Beans, to watch video 337 and probably 388 and 426 also. Arthur Young says, hi Greg, some time ago you mentioned the supplement that while made for animals, dogs, is such a high quality that it's suitable for human consumption. Could you please say more about that? Yes, in fact, see if I can remember the website. It's, don't quote me on this, guys. Somebody try to write it down, or if they Google it too, but I think it's hman, I thought it was ./petclub247.com. I'm gonna try to grab a bottle right now, see if I can show you guys. Give me a second, because yes, you are right. Hold on a second. It's gotta be here somewhere. Nope. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I can't find it, but it's something, it's called something like Coriolis versicolor. And Coriolis versicolor is a type of mushroom that they were given to pets, and they noticed that it appeared, so I don't make any medical claims, to have a very powerful anti-cancer effect, and just super good for your body. There's even new research coming out of Japan in regards to an ingredient. It's a property of mushrooms, and this goes for every mushroom, by the way, which is crazy, that has a very profound positive effect on preventing what appears, dementia, basically, and Alzheimer's. And they found in Japan, this is why I love the Japanese, they're so tedious and everything's about details. They found that if you grow the mushroom a specific way, and at a certain time of their growth cycle, they just have these hugely elevated properties to it. And they created this particular supplement on that website. So yeah, we'll go from there, see, hopefully that helps you guys. But Arthur, if that doesn't answer your question, then comment below and we'll go over that a little bit. Domenico, hydrogen machine cartridge, when do you have to replace it? So there's two rules of thought here. If you go by what the company says, they'll tell you to replace it once a year because everything in there is food grade. In my personal opinion, I know that the Japanese are so strict about every little thing and they want it perfect. I personally think you could push it to about 2 years, but also you can go off the light. So when the machine has a little light that turns on and tells you when the cartridge to be replaced. But basically 1 to 2 years would be what I would personally do. Sam Hasselback says, sorry, had to get a pen. Did you say 337, 388, 426? Yes, that's exactly what I said. Jason says, back from Japan. For now, I got some crazy plans. Not sure if I'll share them with you guys because most of them I don't think people will want to hear them. And even if they wanted to hear them, I'm not sure they'll understand them. So all I'll say is temporarily, yes, but it won't be for long, guys, because I got some huge plans of something I'm going to do in my life. Who knows? I might literally, I hate to say this, I might disappear from YouTube temporarily. I don't know how long it'll take for me to do what it is that I'm trying to do and accomplish. But if I do accomplish it, I don't know if I will turn on the cameras again, but there's a probability, a possibility that I will. And I really hope that it goes well because it's going to be for the benefit of everybody. So I'm working on some big things. Okay, Tricks Are for Kids says, hi, I've heard about seeds. DS01 and double-coated capsules for gut health. Okay. I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts on how effective these are for improving digestion and overall wellness. Okay. For digestion and overall wellness, I have my opinions and I've seen it work. I've seen it work for Crohn's disease, celiac disease, IBS, leaky gut, a lot of things. And it's not a supplement. It's one, super clean water, because the crazy stuff in our water that affects your gut health, and hydrogen. Hydrogen is ridiculously amazing for gut health, in my opinion. I've seen it. There's a lot of data out there. You can read about it. And then the food that feeds good gut bacteria. You're going to want a lot of good fiber. Not a fiber supplement. Fiber that comes from your food, and hopefully you can get the best food that is not sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, crazy stuff. So if that doesn't answer your question, tricks are for kids, ask it again a different way and I'll do my best to answer it. Excuse me. Let's see. Arthur Young. Hey, Greg. Thanks. It's helpful, and I'll dig further, not your previous videos. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but okay. Domenico says, can you repeat the mushroom for animals on the website? It's something like, you know what? Hold on, I got a computer right here. Why don't I just do it for you guys? Here we go. Okay, let's try this, guys. I believe it's hman dot, there it is, I found it. Hman, somebody type it in for everybody, dot petclub247.com. And the product you want, there's two. One is in a green bottle, one is a yellow bottle. And it's what's called Coriolis versicolor. It's a specific type of ingredient in mushrooms. They did a special extract from Japan, by the way. These guys are sourcing from Japan. And I found the bottles already. So one is iForce Coriolis versicolor, one is iForce Plus Coriolis versicolor with reishi. Super powerful. This stuff is pretty mind-boggling. So that's, yeah. Arthur Young says, sorry for the typo. Meant to say, I'll dig further into your previous videos for the specifics. There you go. Okay, very cool, guys. So yeah, somebody type in that hman.petclub247.com. I think it might be helpful for some people. That stuff is pretty good. I mean, I think these are really great too. Most of the stuff that I use is I don't like to do a lot of supplements. So this stuff, again, this is just stuff that comes from the ocean, but gone through a purification process. I will tell you guys, a lot of people necessarily don't agree with me, but I've seen the data, and my information came from data and actual companies. There's been a lot of people who've reached out to me. So just so you guys know, behind the scenes, I'm going to share with the very few people that are in here right now. There's a lot of companies that have contacted me and they offer me money to try to basically promote certain products, and I won't do it. Because after talking and asking a lot of questions from them, they literally have admitted to me, and they'd hate for me to say this, but I'm not naming companies. But just so you guys know, the few people in the chat right now, they literally cut corners on a lot of supplements to the point where a lot of them are like really bad for you. They're contaminated, and they do it. They explained it to me. They said, well, if we try to make the best supplement possible, they said the problem is that we make less profit. It's all about money, and that to me is really sad. So that's why I only share with you guys the really good companies. Even if they don't give me a thing, it's fine. That's not the point. I want to share only the best and only what I use so that I can feel good about living my life and not giving people garbage information. You know, I don't want to be manipulated or influenced by money. I want to give you guys the best, and that's all I use for myself, and that's what I share for you guys. That's always been the promise, and that's literally the foundational part of this, my YouTube channel and everything that I share with you guys. So ultimately, I found out that a lot of these companies do cut corners, and they don't want to tell people, and it is about profit. And I don't really like those companies, and that's why, if you notice, I don't share a million supplements. There's very few ones that I will share with you, and it's all for the companies and the people who choose to make the best stuff. And that's why that guy who asked about Purizyme or Puridyme, that particular company, I have some links for that too. They make a really high-end product, and they have very low margins, but they make good stuff. And that's why I've shared it with you guys. In fact, they don't give me anything, actually, but I still share them with you guys. Okay, Adam Cook says, hello, hydrogen guy. A suggestion for lymphedema. Okay, check this out. Hold on, let's see here. Now, so okay, so just to answer everybody's question, if people, we're basically talking about swelling. I mean, typically you get a lot of swelling, a lot of times in the ankles, your lymphatic system's not moving really good. If we were to read the actual definition, let's see here, it says lymphedema is basically a condition characterized by swelling in the body's soft tissues due to buildup of lymph fluid. It does say this fluid, which contains white blood cells, accumulates when the lymphatic system is damaged or blocked, and we're going to get into that, most commonly affecting arms or legs. Okay, so quick question for Adam Cook. What kind of water filtration are you using, or are you just buying bottled water? Let us know what kind of water you're using, how much water you're consuming, and if you're using any hydrogen, and then if you want to talk about your diet. I don't want to go into full protocol mode here right now because that's when I do my consults. This is the kind of information, but we'll talk about it a little bit here real quick, briefly, if you want to go over it. So go for it, Adam Cook. Share this with everybody. But I will say that moving your lymphatic system is a very unique. I mean, I can ask you guys a question, or I could just tell you the answer. But for most people, do you actually know what moves your lymphatic system? What organ in the human body actually does that? This is a really important part, but it's not the full answer to resolve something like this. And I say resolve because I have had experience with this particular issue with great success, but a lot of people don't like to hear what you have to do because they'll disagree and everybody has their own opinion. And I don't like fighting with people about opinions because I've been down this road. I've tried so many things. I know what works, I know what doesn't, just not in the mood of fighting with people. But because I already know what needs to be done. But let's see what Adam Cook says. And again, we're running a little out of time, guys. I'm going to get going soon, but any last questions, this is your chance. And if Adam Cook wants to answer the question that we just posed for him, then we'll answer it. So, all right, guys. Anything else while you got me? This is your time. That I really wanted to give you guys. So many people have been asking for this, but I know people would prefer if it was scheduled. Sorry, it's just too hard for that right now. But I do personal consults only with people who are serious. I hope that is clear because I don't care how much money you try to pay me. I will not work with anybody who's not serious. It's a waste of time. I just won't do it. So Adam Cook says, thank you. It's more than the swelling due to lymph fluid. Legs below knees. There you go. So that obviously is happening. No hydrogen. That's going to be a problem for you. I have cauterization marks, burned to heck, skin trauma, and ulceration. Okay. Still didn't answer my questions about the water. You're clearly not using hydrogen either, and you didn't address my question about diet either. So those would help me understand what you're already doing. So far, it doesn't sound like you're doing much. So if you want to do something that's actually going to improve it, we'll have to talk about it. So you'll have to answer more questions for me to have a clear idea of how to help you. Sam Hasselback says, yes, I'd love to hear your recommendations for moving the lymphatic system. Okay, so if you want to know what moves your blood, here's a question for you guys. What moves your blood? What organ? The heart, okay? It circulates it, hence the circulatory system, okay? Now, people have to understand, blood is, I don't really want to get into it so crazy, but blood, the way the blood moves is huge as far as your health. So when you have your veins or arteries or whatever, and they're clogged and the blood is not moving through, they're kind of like water moving through pipes, that's a problem. That's why the enzymes are one good thing that can clear them up. That's why I recommend an enzyme-rich diet versus the things that clog you up, because you want the blood moving. But what also gets the blood to move in beautiful ways? Watch my video 68. The hydrogen that I make, it's crazy because I have live blood analysis that actually shows how to move that. But ultimately for the lymphatic system, it's movement, which means walking, 20 to 30 minute walk a day minimum, but also the way that you consume food because of how that affects your blood and the way that it will also move. And then muscles. So your muscles doing this. So basically when you lift or you're walking, anything where you're moving the muscles will plump and will move like almost like like a pulse almost, and that helps move your lymphatic system too. So movement, and yeah, basically movement is a big one. and your muscles contracting and whatnot. But you want to keep your blood, you don't want it super thick, you don't want it super sugary. Those things really get in the way. It makes it thick. And you don't want your blood to be thick. You actually want it to be a little thinner. That's why you want proper hydration. And that's why you want an enzyme-rich diet with a lot of fiber actually to really help clean things out. So you don't want any buildup. That's a really big thing. So I don't know if that's answering your questions, guys. But yeah, thanks for all the thumbs up again. Appreciate it. We got 13. It's small, but Earthman says, what do you think of mini trampoline for lymphatic movement? I think that it's good because gravity, so like, kind of like when you're walking, believe it or not, you have gravity. It's very similar to the trampoline. Simple answer, it's good. Can you do better? Yes. Is it better than nothing? Of course. So in my opinion, it's good. Adam Cook says, not enough water. That's going to be one major problem. You need to be properly hydrated. I can't emphasize it enough. British tap water. Adam, I'm not trying to put you down, my friend, but, you're filtering it through activated charcoal. Not the best, better than nothing, but British tap water, terrible. You're going to want to do a form of carbon distillation. So you're already running through carbon. Carbon is very limited. And then you want to do the distillation process. Watch my video 388. It will answer all your questions in regards to that. I'm rather housebound. I had an abscess over left lymph node because of your OP. Okay. In my simple, as simple as I can make it. Clean water. The best hydrogen is going to help a lot with that. And if you can go for little walks or movement, I mean, those are just easy things. Don't eat too much garbage food. Don't eat too much fat that will clog you up. You want good oils, but you don't want to overload your system. If you want more details, I mean, you can email me too if you want. If you ask more detailed questions, I can go over here. But, I want to help answer everybody's questions. Sam says, what source of protein and fat are the best on a plant-based diet? What do you think of high fruit diets? Okay. So, the best protein. All right. Look, the majority of people don't understand that almost all food has protein. So whether it's a vegetable, a fruit, a nut, seed, these are the foods, this is the list of foods that I primarily eat. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, and mushrooms. Those are the main things. A lot of my good proteins have to be well balanced. So people don't also understand that there's a really good balance between omega-3s and 6s. So one of the most well-balanced proteins, I can grab it here if you guys if you guys want to see it, just let me know, I'll go grab it. But it's basically hemp. Hemp hearts has potentially one of the best balances of omega-3s and 6s. But I get a lot of my fats from nuts and seeds and really good proteins from beans. There is a specific bean called natto. You guys have probably heard me talk about it. It has almost the same amount of protein as beef, but it has a lot of other properties that are actually much better, including rich in enzymes to be able to help you clear up the cloggedness that I told you about, like arteries and even in your GI system and whatnot. Even my chia seeds are a really good source of protein, but not just protein. You really want a lot of good minerals. That's one of the biggest issues these days, is that people are not getting the proper amount of minerals, mostly because soils are depleted, which is why I add a lot of minerals to my actual smoothies. We can get back to that if you have more questions, and GL says, I agree with the mini trampoline. Adam Cook says, thank you, Mr. Uprising 144K, you're the shizzle. And let me see if I can show you. I mean, I could grab a few things here to just show you examples. I mean, here, I'll grab I like a lot of, here, I'll just grab it for you. I'll just show you guys. Hold on a second. Doesn't take very long. Give me 1 second. This may be shocking to people, but I really like a good combination of a lot of different types of nuts and seeds. There are a lot of good oils, a lot of good fats, a lot of good protein. So here's one of my favorites. Oh, don't drop it here. All right, hemp hearts. These things are nuts. Okay, I'm not trying to be funny there. All right. Yo says XRP QFS Team 1. Good to see you, bud. So if you were to look at the nutritional content from hemp hearts, it's incredible, guys. I want people to understand that the way that Mother Nature makes your food is better than any supplement almost that you'll get. And one of the really amazing things about this, like for example, people were really big on copper supplements. You never called? Really? I didn't know I was supposed to. Send me a message, XRP, and we'll talk. I thought you were supposed to call me. I don't know. We got lost in translation, but we'll get connected. So, for example, like people were really big on the copper supplements. Huge amount of copper in your food naturally. I'm telling you right now, there's clear scientific evidence. You guys know I'm a data guy. The body responds better to food than some random supplement. I know people love supplements these days. For the life of me, I don't know why, but they do. But as far as protein, check it out. Well, first of all, there's 10 grams of protein in literally like a tiny, tiny serving. Like it looks like it's 3 tablespoons. How much protein do you get in 3 tablespoons? Let's see. Quite a bit. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is, 10 grams. So you get 10 grams with 3 tablespoons, which is really small. But that's not the only thing. Tons of minerals. I told you, minerals, proteins, nutrients. These are amazing. I can't emphasize it enough. And really best balance as far as, yeah, right here. Omega-3s and 6s. The balance is important. I don't think people really understand that either. So anyway, hemp hearts are just amazing. Sometimes they're even hard to get, and sometimes expensive. But it's another way that I get good fats and proteins. Pistachios, same thing. Really good nutrient content. 6 grams of protein in literally just how much? 1 ounce. So that's that. I also love, these are apparently one of the healthiest nuts, macadamia nuts. And man, I love my macadamia nuts. They're so delicious. I almost would want to eat one right now, but I'm gonna get myself ready for dinner here soon. And I always prepare my body. Oh, I'm actually making a soup. Hold on a second, I gotta stir it. But yeah, I always prepare my body for the food. In fact, you guys wanna see what I'm making? You probably don't wanna see it. But if you do, I could show you guys. But I always prepare my body by drinking super clean hydrogen water 20 to 30 minutes before the meal. That's important. GL Bean says, my last question before you go, best vitamin D. Yes. I already made a video. The link is already there, but I'll show it to you anyway. Let's see here. Show you a couple of them actually. But yeah, this is my favorite one. Just so you guys know, I'm not big on pills. I don't like pills that much. If I'm gonna get a supplement that's super clean, it usually comes in liquid form, which is what this is. In my opinion, this is the best vitamin D you can get. Why? Because it's not just D3 with K2. That's old news. Everybody's like, oh, you need D3 with K2, and that's true, but this one does it in a very unique form, and it's right there. I don't know if you guys can read it. And you can't read it, but in its ionic form. Why? Because the latest data, this is why we need really good new data, it appears that certain minerals interact with the vitamin D and K3 for better absorption, better usage in your system. That's why this is the one that I use. If you want to find the link, you'll have to find my video where I talk both about boron and vitamin D. Boron, amazing. This stuff's like your natural steroid, like increasing testosterone, or really good for balancing women's hormones. Super important. And I really like that one. And this one too. So these are all liquid, and they're just minerals, guys, except for vitamin D3, obviously. That one's a little different. So yeah, and more protein again. People were asking about that. Walnuts. Again, we started looking at good fats, good protein, good fiber, and this one's really big. Organic sprouted pumpkin seeds. Just so you know, this stuff I consume every single one of these nuts every single day. I put these in my smoothie, the walnuts. I put the hemp hearts on top of the smoothie. These go in my salad with the macadamians and pistachios. So people who are asking, and these, oh my gosh, the amount, there's a lot. Magnesium, I do not like magnesium supplements. I can't emphasize that enough. Too much toxicity in my opinion from the lab reports. It's horrible actually. 0 sugar, 8 grams of protein in just 1/4 of a cup. And look at all the different things that I consume every day. I've had blood work. for years to make sure that I'm getting the proper consumption of minerals, nutrients, fats, proteins, the whole thing. And this protocol that I've been doing not only works good, the doctor literally called me and just couldn't believe what she was seeing. Over 30 years experience, she said she had never seen blood work like mine. She said it was unreal. She wanted to know my secret. She thought it was some secret supplement, which it's not. All sorts of good stuff in here, copper, zinc, you know, all the good stuff, iron, blah, 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 good stuff. Okay, back to people's questions real quick. Sam says brown rice, too much arsenic. My opinion on rice is this. I like white rice. I don't eat a ton of it, but I do white rice from Japan, organically grown, because I actually, not only going off the data, I'm going off of, I don't know if you've ever heard of the self-mummification of monks. That's part of the diet. They go white rice versus brown. Somehow it helps purify the body more and eliminate the parasites so that the body will not decompose. I know that sounds great. I know that sounds crazy, but remember, I'm always going off of data and compiling my own protocols, and I'm huge on overcoming parasites in the body, and that's why I go with the white rice. I know everybody argues about it. I think brown rice is just harder to digest and, you know, whatever. GL Bean says ionic form. Got it. Byron. It's not Byron. It's boron. B-O-R-O-N. And vitamin D video. Thank you. Have a great night. You're very welcome. Any last thumbs up would be great. Thank you everybody for all your support. I really hope that this is helping everybody. Any last questions before I go put down some hydrogen water and get myself ready for my dinner? I'm going to have beans, vegetables, root vegetables. Yeah, boron. I know boron sounds like moron. Hey, you're moron. I mean boron. And yeah, I like to eat sometimes. There's certain noodles they can make from vegetables, and sometimes rice noodles. A lot of rich minerals. Actually, I like to eat mineral-rich food. A little seaweed, or what they call kombu. What are the best type of beans? I don't think that there's any bean that's better than another. I mean, I think black beans, lima beans, garbanzo beans, you know, all sorts of different beans. Though, if you really want to know the truth, in my opinion, it would be natto, which is a fermented bean. Why? Because there's more data on natto than any bean in the world as far as being the absolute best, hands down, super amazing for your health. Cannot emphasize it enough. Natto's the best bean. I could probably grab it right now. I have some actually. So I'll be probably putting a little bit of that in my white rice with the natto. I like eating foods that are enzyme rich. Enzyme rich, a lot of fiber, hugely important, lots of minerals. And I'm always gonna get my protein, guys. I've been eating, that was one of the things that shocked the doctor that contacted me when she saw my blood work. She thought that I'd been eating the way that I was eating for maybe 6 months, because she literally said it's impossible. She goes, it's impossible for you to get the nutrients that you have with the diet that you have. But when she found out I'd been eating like this for over a decade, she just couldn't believe it. She said, you know, I literally wouldn't believe you. She said, except for the fact that I'm looking at your blood work, and your blood work is unreal, like so unreal. She's like, I literally can't believe it, but she doesn't think I'm lying to her. There's no reason for me to lie to her. And she just was like, wow, it's impressive. And it's not complicated. You know, I mean, if it was complicated, guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's too time consuming to figure out what you're going to eat every day and everything else. I try to keep it really simple. And anyway, I got this whole mess here full of all these bags of nuts and everything else. But yeah, again, notice it's all food. You know, food. And I consume this stuff every day. Food. Everything's just food. And most of the other stuff is just like minerals. You know, I don't try to get my zinc or my copper or my magnesium or all this stuff from supplements. I try to get them from my food. It's always better that way. Way God created it. Okay, Octavio says, nice video. Thanks, guys. Earthman says, for natto, are the types without salt very good, or do allow salt in your natto to get best one? Okay. Here's the thing. You know what? Let me grab it for you, because there's a sneaky little trick that you don't know about. I'm gonna just show you. Hold on a second. Let's see if I got some. Do I have any? Nope. Gotta have some. comes to natto, it's sneaky because sometimes when you look at the ingredients, there's all these nasty ingredients. They're not actually in the natto. The natto comes with these little packages of like a type of soy sauce, but they put sugar, they put all this garbage in it. That's where all your salt is mostly coming from. Don't use those. I never use those. I literally grab it straight in the trash. I don't use their little packets. I only get the raw material. I'm really big. I'm going to show you guys one of my secrets. I'm really big on eating food that is very simple. For example, pumpkin seeds, right? Let's look at the ingredients. What does it say? Organic sprouted pumpkin seeds. No other ingredients. No sugar, no high corn fructose corn syrup, no food coloring, nothing. Macadamia nuts. Ingredients. What does it say? Macadamia nuts. That's all it says. Same thing for my walnuts. Oh, let's go into the hemp hearts. Ingredients. Organic shelled hemp seed. That's it. So the reason that I like to get simple ingredients is because that's the shenanigans that this world does. They throw in, I could probably grab something around here where they add stuff to it. I won't do it right now unless it's important to you guys. You can comment below. But they add all this stuff, so I always try to buy things the simplest possible. That's one of my secrets. Super, super simple. Keep it simple. I think that's when they try to make things overly complicated, that's when they dupe people or they confuse you. I don't like overly complicated crap. You know, I just think that they use it against you. So, okay, hopefully that answered that question. In fact, let's look at this one real quick. One of my ingredients, the minerals. It literally says concentrated seawater. That's it. And then they put it through a whole purification process and eliminate the salt. In fact, somewhere on here it says that they eliminate like 99% of the salt. Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm trying to find it right here right now, but blah, 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 blah. I can't see it right now. Somewhere in there. Okay, any last questions, guys? Thanks for all the thumbs up. Thanks for all the support. I think probably didn't answer everybody's questions. I do make a few exceptions on certain things. I don't know if I should show you, but mostly for my anti-parasitic protocols, I have a highly anti-parasitic diet, anti-parasitic water, hydrogen. I've found research about it being anti-parasitic foods, blah, 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 blah. I cannot emphasize it enough. I think that's the thing that shocked my doctor because she couldn't understand how I'm getting all these nutrients in my body. Part of my secret, if you guys want to know part of my secret, one is being hydrated with clean water. Two, the hydrogen has helped me immensely with nutrient absorption. And the other secret is actually overcoming or basically not suppressing, eliminating or lowering the amount of parasites in my body because the parasites rob you of nutrients. So if they rob you of nutrients and you're not absorbing well, of course you're going to be deficient. Overcoming nutritional deficiencies is huge to having good health. And then parasites cause a lot of free radicals in your body. That causes a lot of issues. So, like I said, I've kept it really simple, guys. And I don't know what else to tell you. Oh yeah, here, this is funny. People are asking about protein again. 8 grams of protein. How much protein does this one have? Well, this has 2 grams, but it's for 1 ounce. I know this has a lot of protein too, but this is the big boy right here. This one, well balanced, omega-3s and 6s. Okay, guys. Any last questions? Any last questions? Otherwise, let's see. Sam says, what do you think causes histamine intolerance or reactions to fermented or high histamine foods? Personally, I think it's related to your gut. I think most of it is related to your gut, but because gut bacteria seems to create their, like, for example, like the allergic reactions. I actually worked with somebody who had really bad allergies since they were little. They were allergic to cats, dogs, pollen, dust, certain foods. And they did my protocol, primarily clean water again, just with the hydrogen. That's all they did. And they had over 90% improvement in regards to having allergic reactions. So it was really big. In fact, they started being able to have be around cats and dogs again, and even just run around with pollen in the air, and they never have to take any type of medicine for it anymore. Jay Cox says, thanks for the awesome knowledge. You got me on the hydrogen water in Path last year. Well, I hope you're loving it. And you know what? I should share this with you guys. Nobody's gonna hear this just except for you guys because the video is so long. But there's somebody, this guy is a huge health nut. You know what? I really want to interview him. If you guys want me to interview him, comment below. I should do this. He interviewed me on his channel. He is a huge health nut and he wears a device that tracks everything. His heart rate, blood glucose, blood pressure, sleeping patterns, blah, blah, blah. So many things, way more than I ever would. This guy is like next level. He does all this stuff, all these supplements, all these different things, special diet, the whole bit. And he is like in crazy good health, actually. It's pretty impressive. He's also a marathon runner and whatever. And we were talking and I told him, dude, if you do the clean water and hydrogen, it's gonna take everything you're doing to another level. And he was like, nah, I don't really think I wanna do it. I don't wanna get another thing to do. And I'm like, water and hydrogen is foundational for everything you're doing. It's gonna enhance everything you're doing. He was so against it, but he finally did it. I don't know what convinced him, but finally he's like, all right, I'll try it. He's been tracking himself for roughly 7 years, guys. And he started doing my water and hydrogen protocol. He got back to me and he said, unbelievable. He said, this stuff is doing more for my health. And he was tracking it with the device. He said, my improvement went up more than anything I've ever done in my life. And he goes, and I have tried extremely expensive equipment, doctors, naturopaths, supplements, everything under the sun. And he said, dude, this stuff blew it all out of the water. He goes, it's truly unreal. And he goes, and I have actual proof. So that was really interesting. I really should get him on my channel and talk about it. I'm just not good at interviewing people. I don't actually really, I'm not very good at it. I'm terrible with computers. I don't know how to do anything. I just use an iPhone and do this stuff. So anyway, and Earthman says, that's really cool. Yeah, it was really cool. I think if you want to look up his channel, I think it's on Instagram called Feelings with Strangers. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. But it was really cool. And he clearly saw that this is legit. I've been trying to tell everybody, hydrogen is legit. So, okay guys, any last questions? I am gonna go eat some wonderful food. If you really, like I said, if you really want to see it, I'll show you. But, I don't know if I can bring the camera. Let's see here. I'm gonna stir it a little bit. Oh yeah, it's really, oh yeah, I got a lot of mushrooms. Mushrooms are a big one. Mushrooms, beans, and rice, and really good broth, which obviously I use really clean water to make that. So, okay guys, any last questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna let you go. Any last questions? I have a lot more. You know what, you guys, by the way, stay tuned. Not today, but stay tuned, because I've been accumulating amazing data that I'm gonna be revealing to you guys in the very near future. Amazing stuff that nobody in America knows, pretty much. And obviously it's mostly about hydrogen and information about hydrogen, but it doesn't change the fact of what the best is. I'll tell you that much. It doesn't change the machine that I use or my protocols or anything like that. Though there might be, I'm not supposed to say anything too much, so I won't. I'll just tell you there might be new data coming out that I think is gonna blow everybody's mind in regards to hydrogen. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Any last questions? This is your big chance. Otherwise, I'm gonna go make myself a really good salad and soup and dinner, ultimately. Jay Cox says, sounds good, very informative. Appreciate it. Absolutely, you're very welcome, guys. Thanks for watching. I really did this just for you guys, so I hope you guys found it helpful. I bet you all the people who had the questions didn't show up because they don't know. I know, I just kind of popped up here real quick to do this. Okay, so Eric says, is the Axiom hydrogen machine a joke? You know, for the most part, in my personal opinion, yes. Is it the worst machine out there? No, it's not the worst. I've seen worse. Is it when people try to compare it, or even the guy, well, of course they're gonna do this. The guy from the Axiom company tries to compare themselves to the Hydrofix. They actually claim that their machine is superior. It's not even close. If it was close, it'd be like a Ferrari versus a Porsche, and it's close, I would say like, yeah, it's close. It's not close. Comparing the Axiom to the Hydrofix is like comparing a Ferrari to a Toyota Corolla or something, you know, or a Ford Escort or something. It's not even close. It is a Chinese machine. You are able to get them way cheaper. They're actually a very cheap machine. I found literally where they're sourcing them from. It was kind of an accident. The problem is a lot of these companies reach out to me. They think that I'm gonna try to carry products and sell them, which I won't. But they think that I will. So they contact me, they show me all their stuff, and I find out that the Axiom company doesn't even want to share what kind of metal they're using. They don't want to share with you what kind of membranes they're using. I went to their website. They don't show any of that information. Think about that, why they don't want you to know. And then they want to go as far as claiming that they make the best stuff there is. A lot of their claims are because of the amount of hydrogens that they claim to make. Though there's literally no laboratory, third-party lab test that shows that they make that amount of hydrogen at the tip of the cannula, not the production of the machine. This is where all the shenanigans are going on. If you want the simple answer, it's not even close. And the particular clinic that contacted me with the hydrogen, they were using that machine and they just weren't getting the results. And when they switched over to the Hydrofix, the results were just astronomical. In fact, they were so crazy that the doctors that were treating a lot of these patients that were going to that clinic wanted to know what they were doing because the results were crazy. There was a woman who had a stroke that couldn't dress herself, couldn't talk, couldn't walk. Couldn't dress herself, couldn't talk, and couldn't feed herself, I think is what it was. And after doing the Hydrofix for a while, the results were unbelievable. They never accomplished anything like that ever. So it's a huge difference. It's not even close. So if that answers your question, great. If not, you can ask it in more detail and I'll share the details. Adam Cook says, it's been bedtime in Britain for a while now, so good night, Mr. Uprising. All right, good night, take care. Eric Hill says, yes, way cheaper. I found the same Chinese supplier, Axiom. They're literally charging $6,000 where you can get the machine for roughly $575. Guys, I agree with you. I know what they're doing, and this is what a lot of companies do. That's why they like carrying Chinese products, because they can make so much profit, and they don't care about giving you the best. They only care about profit, and I've never gone down that route. I think you guys know that. I'll just share with you what the best is. Jay Cox says, that's the key. The toxic materials and the data backed by research. I've talked with coworkers about talking them down from buying cheap hydrogen water machines and distillers. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Eric Hill says, thank you so much. With distillers, it's still important to get good stuff, but if you end up getting something cheap, it's not the same as hydrogen in regards to you need really high quality, because you're not actually using an electrolysis process. You really need proper materials for that. So that's what makes doing hydrogen properly expensive, by the way. But okay, I guess that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna leave the camera on just for a second if anybody has any last questions, but otherwise I'm gonna shut it off in about 30 seconds. So this is your last chance. I'll be right back in 1 second for anybody who has any last second questions. Otherwise, say goodbye. Pretty hot here, so I use a little ice. So I don't like using the air conditioning, so I literally put ice packs on me. Keep me cool, crazy as that sounds. And that's it. Okay, I don't see any other questions, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time on the next one.